Warm greetings to all of you, to leaders and to leaders to be, as well as influencers that are committed for the service of humankind. When I was approached by Feli and Dave to speak on the subject of leadership, I couldn't say no to the two student leaders that had always been on the limelight, leading, no matter what the circumstance. So I found myself thinking beyond thinking what I should share in this opportunity given. I ended up with the title Lead, Committed for the Service of Humankind. Let me start by saying that the Holy Scripture is not silent about the topic of leadership. In fact, in Isaiah 42:16, it says, I will lead them in the paths they have not known. I will make darkness light before them and crooked places straight. These things I will do for them and not forsake them. This verse from the Bible is very pregnant with the promise that God will be with leaders who take him at his word. He will never leave them, and he even will uphold them in his mercies as they continue leading for him. You see, I believe that leadership is not for the faint hearted. Leadership is for the brave hearts who are willing to face their giants and giants in the field, find growth in the process, and become desirous to be guided through the journey by the great leader himself, who is God. It is He who will continue to bless and preserve leaders as He has done in the past, so will He be true in the present and even in the future. And that is my message for you. Proverbs 2, verses 6, 8 to 9 declares, For the Lord gives wisdom, and from his mouth comes knowledge and understanding. He guards the path of justice and preserves the way of his saints. Then you will understand righteousness and justice, equity, and every good path. I like this words from the scriptures because it gives me assurance that when in leadership position, when we needed wisdom, the Lord provides it. He does not only protect leaders, but he provides the wisdom, the knowledge, and the understanding and righteousness when there are issues and decision makings that are to be done by leaders. He will guide them if they keep connected with him. You know what? The call to leadership is a consistent pattern in the Bible. When God decided to raise a nation of his own, he didn't call upon the masses. He called out one leader named Abraham. And when God wanted to deliver his people out of Egypt, he didn't guide them as a group. He raised up a leader to do it, and that's Moses. When the time came for people to cross the promised land, they followed God's chosen man, Joshua. So the Bible has so many records of leaders whom God has prospered, whom God has blessed, and whom God has delivered through their leadership journey. Every time God desired to do something great, he called the leader to step forward. There were no qualifications during the time. There were no criterion. There were no grade requirement. There were no loading of units on leadership that was a cutoff. If you have more than this number of declared units, you cannot take on another position. There were no elimination interviews or competitive interviews. There were even no requirement or checklist of competencies. It was here that I realized that God looks into emergent leaders. Emergent leaders are made up of individuals who take charge of a situation without traditional hierarchy. Because their hearts are willing to serve, they volunteer not for the position, but because they wanted to serve and they have a solution. So in a situation where there is an emergent need, this kind of leader would come into the surface, and God sees into his heart and makes him the leader in his perfect time, and in the best of his choosing. These leaders will grow in God's grace.